All right, who has less than 5 staff members? Less than 5. Employees, staff.
Team members.
Okay. Who has from 6 to 20? All right. Who has more than 20? All right, very nice. For those of you with more than 20 staff members, how many layers of hierarchy do you have?
You got 4, Dave and Carl.
2, throw your hands up, 2, 4. Oh, 3, okay, so right in the middle, there you go. What does that look like in a full service wash, dry, fold, pickup and delivery world? Well, it sometimes looks like this. You have people on top of people in your facility who are working only on your full service customers' garments. And in our world, our goal again is equipment utilization. And so we want to offer all of our equipment, all of our capacity to Angela to make sure that when she comes in, she is not elbow to elbow or elbow to face with one of our staff members who is fighting over the last dryer on a Sunday afternoon. Because what Angela really does not like to see is coming into a laundromat and there's little tags on every washer, her favorite washer.
Yep.
So now you have Angela, who is our target customer, who we'll call your target customer in your self-service business, competing with Joanne, who never comes into your laundromat, whose garments are being cleaned in your machines. And so we have completely eliminated that friction, that mindset that every one of our self-service customers has the ability to use any of our washing machines and dryers all the time. What that does is it eliminates the need for excess labor. Who in here has, best way to phrase it, whose labor is not your greatest expense? Okay, 1, 2, yeah. So everyone else has labor as your greatest expense. All right. Do you run that to see what the profitability is on labor committed to full service garment care versus labor committed to self-service garment care? Because the beautiful thing about Angela is she comes into our stores and she does her laundry herself. It's pretty crazy. People think that we tell them what we do and they're like, I have no idea people still use laundromats. Not only do they use laundromats, they come in, they hang out, they have a nice time, they watch the crazy videos on TV, and they fold their own clothes.
I was at an insurance conference a few months back, and a guy came up to me telling me what I did. I told him I owned some laundromats. He said, "Oh my goodness, man, let me buy you a drink." You know, people just don't know, and that's fine that people still use all of our services. Yeah. Before I forget, I want to mention one thing. What we were talking about earlier, the self-service customer or the wash, dry, fold, getting in the way of the self-service customer. Kelly Reed mentioned earlier, and I commend her and Joe Dan on this, and others have done it, I know, is seeing that, realizing that's got in the way of your self-service business and investing in a facility off-site to do that. I know we can't all do that, but many of the top operators are doing that, or they're putting in larger laundromats where they have different spaces for that so they don't compete as bad. Mm-hmm. We can always say we can shut down at night, run at night, but I always like to put myself in the shoes of everyone that I hire, and your employees do not want to work the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. shift. Neither do you, neither does anybody, or the graveyard at the laundromat shift. So if you can separate those, it really helps and make dedicated spaces really makes sense.
Yep. How many of your businesses in full service garment care can function without your staff showing up? When you say full service, what do you mean? Wash, dry, fold, pickup and delivery. No. Okay. Does anyone have robots yet that show up on time?
Sitz is working on it.
I'll invest into that. That's a pretty cool idea. Okay, so is it fair to say that your business model is dependent on your staff members, your team members, your employees showing up? Who has employees that do not show up? Go ahead, raise your hand. Now, some of you have employees that show up all the time. Yeah,
they're lying.
Absolutely.
Your hands down, you're lying. He
So
says.
one thing we realized is that, washers and dryers actually function when nobody's in the building.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is amazing. Now, our business model is dependent upon mostly utilities. We can't run anything if there's no electricity. We can't run anything if there's no water. We can't run anything if our dryers if there's no gas. So we are dependent upon certain things that are completely outside of our control. Your labor is outside of your control. You can motivate people, you can offer incentives, bonuses, any type of pay structure that may incentivize your staff members to produce more or show up more often and on time and stay late when they need to. But that's also a huge expense. And so the higher your variable expenses, the lower your net margin. And one of the reasons I have stayed in this business is because our net margins are pretty good in the self-service laundry industry because we do not have to contend with labor. You know, we've all been through COVID. It's over. Congratulations.
Yes.
We know what tight labor markets look like. They're expensive. You know, you've got folks who are working for you and they're like, well, I'm going to go over here and earn, $3 more an hour. And you're like, whoa, 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 you're great. You know things. Now I've got to pay you more. Now your expenses have increased. So you've got to be mindful of that when it comes to taking a very simple model that we've been able to generate and not create because we are not reinventing the wheel,
no.
But kind of hone to make it work for us. And low labor is a beautiful part of that.
And it takes intentional, decisive decision making. You know, we've been tempted to do many different things, other businesses or whatnot, but really staying focused, staying true to yourself, whatever that looks like for you.
Yep. But we also employ 75 wonderful people who are like family members. We get together twice a year. We catch up with on how their family's doing, how this goes, how their health is, how their stores are doing, what their customers are doing, because labor is still an important part because we're people and we like to have interaction. So our folks are in the stores cleaning, they're in the store helping people, going outside, taking carts, helping Angela put her things into a cart, get it inside, get her machine started. Labor is still important. But what I would encourage you to do is to think about what percentage of your top line revenue is labor and how you can reduce labor without it significantly impacting your revenue and totally positively impacting your bottom line.
One thing that we do with labor to keep people committed to us and us committed to them, you guys might think this is crazy, but everybody who works for us is full-time. It's 40 hours a week, every week. What does that do? That leads to much less turnover. When we have a job opening come up, we treat people really well. We meet twice a year. We give great bonuses at both of those. And when we have a job opening come up, we actually send that out to our existing staff members, and they help fill it for us. They literally have friends, and they help fill that for us. And it creates a great culture, and it creates them wanting to look for people who might be a good fit within our organization. And when they refer them, when, say, Gilly refers Dan, well, Gilly, when Dan stays with us 90 days, I give you $250 cash. So you have incentive to make sure when you bring Dan on that he's somebody that's going to stay, and you don't want it to reflect poorly on you. So that's one of the things that we do, which makes it a little tighter because we don't have a ton of slack, but we're partially attended. So 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. is when our staff members are there. Most of our staff members are females. We call them store managers, but all y'all know they're basically laundry attendants. But we pay them like store managers. We give them the ability and empower them to solve problems so the customer doesn't have to call, doesn't have to go to these places. Well, Luke, why is it 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.? It would be so much better if it was 10 a.m. to, our busier hours are like to 8. But what mom with kids wants to work a schedule like that and stay with you for 10, 15 years? They can't do that. But I made the trade-off. Mm-hmm. They start at 8, they get off at 5, they have lunch noon to 1. Made that trade-off. So now the customer comes in at 6 p.m. We've got a floating night manager who goes around to the multiple locations and can help that person. But our staff member, Patricia, and the girls who've been with us, we've got staff been with us as long as I've been here. And our tenure is just continuing to be a thing that we take much pride in. And how do we do that? We take care of our staff members. We make sure that we care about them. I knew about all our customers' names when we first started with 10 or 12 stores. I knew about all of our staff members' names. Now we've had to put people in place who literally, Patricia's job is to make sure she knows everybody's birthday, talks to everybody every month about what's going on in their life outside of work. Anniversary working with us, everybody gets a $50 gift card somewhere and a bouquet of flowers if you're a female. And those little things go a long way. So those are just some things that we've done to simplify. Everybody works full time, no part time. And that helps create that tenure. That makes sense to anybody? Is that crazy?